one section before we need to have a thorough training need analysis. Now, who is here who can give me a definition? I'm not asking the exact, definition of a dictionary or something. Training analysis. Who can give me a proper definition in your own terms, which is easily understand, which has to be reached most of the people. Okay, good point. Not something which is irrelevant. It's more like relevant. Good point.
Another one point.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The other one point is the duration allotted for the training. We have to prepare the content based upon the time allotted. We have to cover all the subject based upon the time. We have to go to depth or you have to go to surface based upon the time allotment.
Good point, Edwin. Dharani, please go ahead.
Actually, as a trainers, we should have a whole sphere knowledge of a training session, how many members and what content we are going to give, and the level of our trainees, and we must be very observant, and we should get to know the needs and all that.
Good point, Dharani.
That's it.
Good point. All right, guys. So this is called as brainstorming, guys. Now, what we did right now, I would have given you a bunch of words, bunch of follow up. But when we do brainstorming, right, we get to know different ideas. Same word, one word. Okay, what we're discussing is only one word here. That is thorough training need analysis. Now, for the training need analysis, when we do a brainstorming, we get to know so many words, so many different ways. And when we correlate, that's the reason I've asked you to make note of those points. When you correlate, you will start to do a real analysis. Training needs. Based on the need requirement, you will start to do the analysis. Good points. Okay. So exact definition of training analysis will not give you how will you analyze exactly. Now, the second most important point, now how do you analyze is, now just next to need analysis, identify the purpose. Now I hope somebody has already mentioned about the purpose, identifying the purpose, but in a different way. But here, first point is training need analysis. Second point is identify the purpose. Now, I'll just give you a live example for this. Okay, so let me take a niche of soft skills, right? So it's a broad sector, soft skills. Please make sure that these points are there in your diary book. Most important, guys. And after the session, you need to sit and analyze. Okay, with respect to your niche, you need to sit and analyze. Identify the purpose. Now, I was talking about giving you a live example of soft skills. Soft skills is a broader sector under training. Okay, we have everything in soft skills: communication skills, language, leadership. We have any stress management. Now we have parenting coach. If whatever people are doing now, everything comes under the bundle of soft skills. Most of them. Now, if you want to differentiate yourself, not being a soft skills trainer, then I think it is something called as business trainer. It is something called as financial financial trainer, or something called as psychological. Somebody who's dealing with psychological things. But most of the other things, whichever you are, portraying, giving a word or something, everything lies under soft skills. Just do a proper research, you'll get to know almost 80% of the trainers are doing nothing. They are under soft skills, including leadership, including corporate training, including your training the institutions, or your training for stress management, you're giving some solutions. Now, I'm just taking an example, okay, so that we can correlate before when we are forming the content. Taking soft skills. Now, we I think 80% of you here are eligible to be a soft skills trainer, and some are having their own niche market. So under soft skills, now let's say you've been given an institution. Okay, an institution which caters right from school to master graduation. So you get a project when you reach to the people, and you have to plan content. You have to design and form a content, right? And when you are speaking with the management, they will say, first do it for the school people up till 12th, right? And then to the master people. They want something for the school people and they want something for the master people. They don't want anything for the between people, that's the graduates, right? So how do you form a need analysis? Because here both perspective and what they are asking you is soft skills here. Okay, for the outgoing management, for the master people, they are asking you to train them on interview skills or placement skills. Okay, and for the students who are in school, they are asking you to train them on life skills. Two different situations, guys. Life skills, again, that also comes under soft skills, and interview skills, and skills for the interview skills, and anything on the communication part for the master people for their recruitment by the organizer. The goal which you have set for yourself, if you're doing it for individual, if you're doing it on your own. So you need to align that content before you start. Now again, we are not framing, we are not going in deep the content. We are doing it before the content. All we are discussing is before the content, right? What others have also told, it's very easy for you to connect and align all those things. Okay, come tomorrow with your niche market, with your intention of building a content, right? And what are meet the learners for you? How have you met the learners? You have to bring that into your mind, and please write down those. You have to meet the learners. I want people to go to the last point. All right, guys. So what we did right now was, in your way, a formal introduction, but not in my way. Guys, before I started, this was written here. This was clearly written here. What is this? So somebody applied here, actually. I'm going to tell you who did applied also. Now, perfect. Okay. That's fine. We're focusing on this. Now, as we are focusing on this, we have something to learn. Now, let me tell you, what do we have? Right? That's okay, Swarali, that's okay. Okay, guys. When we say 1 minute, right? When we say 1 minute, you got to have a speech which starts at 1 second, ends at 60 seconds. You can end 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds before. That doesn't make a difference. But you cannot end 50 seconds before. Even 54 to some extent, it's fine. How do you do that? As I told you, it took me at least one night, maybe 3-4 hours of practice. As I told you, I had to win that startup challenge. 1 minute, right? So even there is a structure. How much time you need to talk on the problem, how much time you need to talk on the solution, how many seconds. But for a trainer, what do you do in this 1 minute? Now, why is that so important, 1 minute? Right? Why can't we have more time? Why can't we have more time? Does anybody has this answer? Please unmute yourself. Why 1 minute is important? People who's sorry now. Okay. Does anybody has the answer?
Probably people might get bored.
Probably people might get bored. Okay, one point, most important point. Okay, voice is gone.
Time constraint, sir. Program, training time constraint.
Perfect. Even this is one of the most important reason. Because 60 minutes or 90 minutes is what you present most of the time. Very few times you get an opportunity to present for 4 hours or for a day. Like a day may have a 5 hours, 6 hours, which includes lunch break and all. It might be 7-8 hours lunch break and other breaks, but you train for 5-6 hours. That's very rare you do it, but you do it. Even that one day sessions you do it. Right there you have an ample of opportunity. You don't speak for 1 minute. You can carry on with your personal experience, with your all other emotional backgrounds, what kind of struggles you had, your story, your connection. But what's the point? What's the learning here about the 1 minute? What Kunika said is also very important. What Vijay Lakshmi, because people will get bored. Of course, they'll get bored, right? Vijay Lakshmi said, this is most important what Vijay Lakshmi said. That's the reason we make it 1 minute. If you have 1 day session, you can connect you can have it for 5 minutes, no problem. You can speak on 5 minutes, 10 minutes also. Or in between also you can speak of the sessions about yourself, no problem. When we have a short session, when we do not want to make people bored, like Kunika said, right? And when people are curious to listen from you, right? All you need to do is connect. Now, what do I mean by connect? See, let
Emotional
me tell
connect.
Yeah. Great. Emotional connect. We'll come to that. Emotional part will come to that. We have a lot of things on that content. We have a lot of things, but it's just the beginning of the intro. Interactions, Farali. Great. Okay. The final one, we got 30 seconds. Guys. I hope I'm clear now. I hope Vijay Lakshmi, your doubt is clear. Rekha, your doubt is clear. Right? Now try to do it. Even though if you're not able to make up, right? Make sure that you write that speech. 10 seconds. What do you want to add after your name? 20 seconds. Your niche market and your goal and achievement related to that. 30 seconds. The emotional statement. This is very, very, be very careful in this. Because this is where you connect with the people. Emotional statement, or in other words, emotional story of yours. They are not there to listen to anybody else. They're curious. Remember, Rekha, they're curious to know. They're curious to know what you have to tell them. So you have to tell about yourself. Guys, this is an hierarchy pyramid. Okay, to understand the training profession all about, what is training profession all about, you need to first understand the hierarchy. Please mute yourself, guys, who has not muted. Okay, so let's discuss this one by one, part by part, one by one, right? So let's discuss this part by part and one by one. This will find 90% of the people to be lower the pyramid. Right? 90% of the people who are the blood of the organization, they are in the lower category. Operators, yes.
Downline workers.
Yeah. Can I say these are the people who work in entry level?
Yeah.
They can be trainees or the internship people.
100%. Perfect, Geetanjali. These are entry level people. They could be trainees. They could be interns. They could be the people who are there in the organization since last 1 year or 2 years. Even 2 years people who are there since last 2 years also, you will call them as entry level people. Up till and unless they have crossed 2 or 3 years. You see, there are some kind of HR protocols. Once you meet 2-3 years, if you are, if you're going to give to the, I think Ujjwala would be able to tell us something of her organization. Right? So once an employee is there for about 2 years or something, they get kind of benefits, right? So all those things are only been possible if they are there till 2 years, right? So before 2 years, whoever are there in the entry level, these are the people who are there contributing, in some cases 80%, but majority of the cases 90%. Mid-level people who consist of 5 to 10% of the organization, okay? So this could be anywhere between, okay, if I say 10, it will gonna go in different way. Let's say 5 to 8% of the organization. Now, mid-level people. Now, if I have to say for the organizations like schools, colleges, these are the people who are vice principals,
Heads.
principals also.
Heads of department.
HODs kind of.
HODs, these are the people. And for the corporates, managers, associate managers, just above, supervisors, okay, associate managers, deputy managers, whatsoever. These are the people. Deputy, you can say deputy or assistant or associate, anything, any of these associate managers. Yeah. Okay, and the board members, board members. Then we have the people called as general managers, senior managers, all includes in this, general managers, senior managers, somebody who is above the deputy associate manager, 1 to 2% of the organization. Right, are these people under corporate area? These are the people who are in heading the roles of the departments in corporate. PTO, board director for institutions, board directors, secretaries, joint secretaries. Okay, for institutions, I'm talking about institutions. And here we go. For institutions, president, direct president, or somebody who is one-man army. For corporates, it's not only CEO, guys. It's not only CEOs. You need to understand here.
Stakeholders.
And these stakeholders are majority stakeholders, not the minority stakeholders. Majority people are the people who will control CEO. Okay, and CEO controls all these people. These people in turn controls all the general managers, senior managers, everybody, and then goes to deputies, associate, all these managers, and entry level all are being managed by not only by CEO. Don't think that CEO is one man army. If a company is matured, don't ever think that CEO is one man army, because CEO is being governed by these people who are majority stakeholders. He's just riding the bike, but the remote control is with the majority stakeholders. He has to divert as they say. So why am I giving you this chart? Is, as freelancers, as trainers, training profession is all about reaching out to the right people. Whether it is institutions, whether it is colleges, schools, organizations, NGOs, whatsoever. You need to understand the pyramid, you need to understand the hierarchy, how it is being controlled. Who is the person to whom if you reach out, you could crack? Now this is for the people who are intending to even be an in-house trainer, or people who are intending to do something freelance part. Alright? So this is for those people, including not only that, if you're doing freelancing part, you have to understand this. Even if you are going to be in-house trainer in that company, you need to understand this. You need to understand the chart properly. See, this applies for institutions also, not only corporate houses. So you need to understand who is the decision maker here. Among all this, for our profession, to enter in as a trainer, in that domain, whether it is institute or whether it is the corporate, we need to understand who is the decision maker. Ultimately, you need to go to the decision maker. Now, what's the learning here? As trainers,
the vision will be clear.
Right. As trainers, we cannot expect a CEO to take a decision on training. We need to understand who is a person here as a decision maker, who is the person who can understand you, what is training profession all about, what is training profession all about, who can reach to their seniors, whether it is a deputy associate or associate managers, general managers, who know about your profession. You need to do a lot of research about that company, institution, school, college, whatsoever. You need to do a little research. Understand the perspective. if you have to be entered in there either as a freelancer or a part-timer or just to give a course or just to be a full in-house trainer. Specifically, if you want to be a full in-house trainer, you want to shift a career, you need to influence that decision maker. These decision makers could be from 5 to 8%, 1 to 2%. Now 90% of the people are not decision makers, but they can actually give you a meeting with the decision makers. Now, whom you have to tap in is to understand you need to speak with the entry level people, because most of the paths who will be open to you are entry level people rather than the people who are in the authority person. They will not open up with you, they will even not refer you. Please understand the point dimensions and then reach out to those people.